Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at one of my newest acquisitions and my newest love in shooting. That is the Beretta 92FS. Now, several weeks ago, I went to North Carolina for a defensive shooting class with Jim Marcel and Nate Lather up there. And originally I was going to take my 1911 and run it for the class. Hurricane Helene hit, and we ended up doing a good bit of restoration work, and I didn't get the ammo loaded in time for the class. So thanks to Jim and his generosity, he gave me two options of a gun that he'd let me borrow to run. And I had the option of a Springfield SA-35, which is a Browning high power clone, or a Beretta 92 that he has. Well, when I got to North Carolina, I ended up shooting both of them, and I ended up falling in love with the 92 platform, and that's what I ran for the class. Once I got home, I'd fell in love with this platform so much I had to find my own, and that's what we have here today. I've got some notes here that I'm going to read off, some interesting facts about the Beretta 92 that I learned. But the one thing that I fell in love with the gun, a Beretta 92, especially the FS model. This is the FS. We are empty. This has a safety decocker. They have a G model, which is just decock only, and it goes right back to safe. And there's a couple other different models. This is just the basic FS. And the thing I liked about it the most when shooting, that really turned me on to it, I'm a revolver shooter. If y'all have been around this channel much, you know I shoot revolvers. And the double action trigger pull on this was very, very similar to my Smith & Wesson Model 10. There is some differences in it. With the Smith, as I'm staging that trigger, of course you can feel the cylinder rotate. There's different things when you get to the wall before it breaks. With this, it's not as easy to find the articulation point where it finally breaks over to let the hammer fall. Now, one of the things I learned about running this in that class was when we're drawing, as I'm coming to present, I'm staging the trigger, and that's something I'm still working on. But the double action trigger pull, I was able to shoot this very well because it was so similar to a double action revolver. Now, after you fire it and it goes back to single action, it's a good clean, just right there, and the reset is not very much at all. On a time shoot, I think drawing, shooting 3 rounds from a holster, I was in the 2-second range with like 0.23 splits. So I mean, that's drawing, double action, and then following up with single action. Some of the other takeaways from the class that really stood out to me, and I wanted to talk about before we get in to discussing how much I like this and about this particular 92, was trigger manipulation. The way Nate explained it is you got smash, locomotive, and then of course precision. And of course the way it was explained to me, and I never thought about it like this because I don't compete, and it's competing something I'm going to get into, and I believe this is going to be what I use. Smash is like close range, draw, fast as you can squeeze it off. You know, you get a little further back, you want to time your firing to like a locomotive, and then of course when at distance, you're going to find your wall and squeeze it off in a slow, steady manner. But all that aside, that's another topic for a different video. Beretta 92. So, some interesting information that I thought when I got to reading into the 92, because I've never had a 92 and it was never on my radar. Right now, Beretta says the current malfunction rate for Beretta 92 is 1 in 19,000 rounds on average. And that's with a test of 42 pistols that fire 210,000 rounds each. So you'll run into people, influencers, and whoever tell you that these were junk. They carried them. Some of these people carried them in Iraq, Afghanistan. They were junk. They was unreliable. I think a 1 in 19,000 round malfunction rate is pretty good. The one that Jim loaned me in North Carolina, I fired that thing 1,500, 2,000 rounds maybe over 4 days, and I didn't have not one single issue. So that's my experience with it as far as round count there. Another thing that I read, in the 2001 Handguns 2001 13th edition, Christopher Beretta, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, took a Beretta 92 and fired 19,948 rounds out of the same gun with a mix of, he used 10,000 rounds of standard NATO 124, which is a little hotter than regular 115, 8,000 rounds of plus P ammo, and 2,500 rounds of plus P plus. He had one failure to extract due to one round in the NATO stuff that was low power and didn't cycle the slide all the way. He didn't have a major malfunction until 19,498 rounds when the locking block on the barrel broke, and he replaced that and continued and fired 500 more rounds to test the accuracy after that many rounds. So to me, that was a pretty good track record as far as that publication goes. Another thing you'll hear is, oh, Berettas are bad about the slides breaking. I read into that a little bit. 1988, there was a memo released on an investigation on some slides breaking in the field. From what I've read, and this is what I found looking through some of these documents, they only had 3 slides break in the field, and it was on 3 Navy guns that were firing some submachine gun ammo they got in Europe. It was apparently really, really, really hot. They went back and took, I think, 16 other guns to try to replicate the failure, and they did eventually get slides to break, but it was after firing a lot of, testing with that hot ammo to determine what done it. I wasn't born until the late 80s when all this was going on, so I was a baby. I don't remember all this, but from people that I've talked to, it was pretty heavily publicized that, oh, Beretta slide will break. That was so false that Beretta ended up suing the U.S. government over that and winning. So there again, that's just my opinion on all that. Y'all can read into it yourself. But I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to jump off into, I'll show you some close-ups of this particular Beretta 92 that I've got. All right, so here's my Beretta 92. This gun was bought used, and there was some particular features I was looking for. Mainly it's just personal preference. One being I wanted an older Beretta that didn't have the safety warning here. That doesn't affect function. That doesn't affect anything other than aesthetics. I don't care to see a billboard here about guns are dangerous, guns are tools. They can be dangerous if used in a dangerous manner, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. The other thing I wanted, through some reading, the Beretta 92 come with 2 different sets of styles of sights. You had a 3-dot sight, which was more common. Law enforcement and M9s came with what they call stacked 2-dot, which is what I have here. The particular gun that I ran on loan was a stacked sight gun. I learned to really like that. So I set out to find one with these particular sights. Other than that, it's just a basic Beretta 92FS. Prior owner tells me that this gun was made in 1991. That Z stamp there apparently is date code. I have not verified that, but I'm told this gun was made in 91. It was course, manufactured here in USA and then shipped to Puerto Rico for a law enforcement gun. And that's why it got the stacked sights. Sometime, don't know when, it was re-imported by ATI in South Carolina, hence our import mark on a American-made gun. Went to Puerto Rico, come back. Overall, the gun's in pretty good shape. Just got your basic ambidextrous decocker. The way that works, and I have to hold this back where you can see it. When it's in safe, you see it rolls the firing pin up out of the way, and then the hammer, it doesn't do anything. To decock, if the hammer's back, push it down. Simple as that. I'll probably end up putting a G conversion in this gun to where it's decocker only. So whenever you push that down to decock, it automatically flips back up to fire on its own. Another reason I wanted an older, what they call pre-safety gun, which is my reading and understanding, 1994 and older, is they came from Beretta with a metal safety, a metal trigger, and the metal hammer spring housing, cup, whatever you want to call it. Other than that, this is just a basic 92 FS. It does have a D hammer spring in it. The D model was a double action only, and it is comparable to a revolver trigger pull, and that's another reason that makes me love this gun even more, being a revolver shooter. So, of course, basic magazines. Magazines is a whole nother topic in its own, as plenty of people that run the checkmate magazines overseas and in the military said they were junk and they fail. I'm in the process of doing some experimentation with that. There'll be more on that later, but this is the magazine the gun come with. Beretta mark, just 9mm, made in USA. And I have a couple more that I found, pawn shops, etc. I found this one, which I thought was really neat. This is a U.S. military contract Beretta. It's got the military assembly number on it, but it is a Beretta marked. It's not a checkmate. And it has the older aluminum base plate, and it has an aluminum follower. So from what I understand, this is probably late 80s, early 90s vintage. As far as holsters go, I'm still looking for one. I do have this M12 or UM84, whatever you want to call it. I took the flap off. Mine has a Bianchi thumb snap on it. I tried to run this holster a couple of weekends ago doing some time drills. This thing sucks. It makes a great field holster. But as far as one to try to draw fire on time, it sits so far down in here you can't index the gun real good without trying to pull it out and having to readjust your grip. You lose time with it. Does it make a good field holster? Yes. Does it protect the gun with the flap? Yes. Is it something I'm going to run a lot? Probably not. The holster I ran in North Carolina was a Galco Avenger. The Galco has since discontinued the Avenger, so I'm looking for one. I'm a firm believer in whatever you start learning with and training with, you stick with that. I'm not a fan of Kydex. I'm a leather man, so I'll find a Galco Avenger, or I'll have one made, one of the two. So there you have it, my Beretta 92. There you have it, my start into the Beretta 92 platform. Like I said, I've really grown to love this handgun. Like I mentioned before, I want to get into some competition shooting. Locally, we have IDPA. I've got to check the rules on where this falls on that. We don't really have any US PSA around here, but I would consider doing some of that if I could ever get into it. There's also a place that does some little local like theme matches that I may look into also. Like I also mentioned before, while this holster makes a great field holster, it is not something I'm going to run. I'm looking for a Galco Avenger, which has been discontinued. So if anybody has a AV202B, which is brown, that they would like to part with, hit me up on Instagram under the same handle, J_C_Hunt, in the DMs, and let me know. I am looking for one. While you're over there, give me a like and follow. I'm all the time posting some behind the scenes stuff over there also. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I'd ask you to like and subscribe, check out some other videos, and hang around. Who knows where this channel's gonna go in the future. I like to post things that are interest to me at the time and things I think might interest y'all. As always, keep learning, happy shooting. Until next time, I'll catch you around. Thank you for watching.